Hi there everyone, and welcome back to Hollow Knight with me, Kid K. Mirai. Today's very special title screen is called Void Heart, and that is very relevant to what we're going to be doing today. I've been looking forward to recording this video because it will be the final one in my main playthrough here. So I wanted to say right up front that I've really enjoyed going on this journey with you guys, and I thank you very much for your views and likes and even encouraging comments occasionally. So I hope that you've enjoyed traveling around with the knight with me, and so let's hit it and get started. After the last video I recorded, the one where I beat the Trial of the Fool, I came back to Dirtmouth to start off this video. I'm going to rearrange my charms just a little bit because before we head into our final fateful encounter with the Hollow Knight, I am going to engage in one more little side quest that I hope will be heartwarming to you guys. So, first of all, I'm going to get out my little Weaverling buddies. Oh, okay. I will remove this one as well then. Okay, gotta, get my little buddies out. And, just remember. Yeah, the very first person who spoke to us in this game was Elderbug. And I am going to go and do something that I hope will brighten his day a little bit. It's going to require me to do a little walking by myself. I will make a cut until I'm ready to start again. But, yeah. Let's do something nice for Elderbug, as, you know, the last thing that we do in this game before we finish up. Okay, everyone, here I am, finally. Back at the Trader's Child's grave. And as you can see, you can now inspect the fragile flowers, the delicate flowers, and you can actually take one for yourself and carry it around. And actually, you can give a delicate flower to someone else besides, you know, the Trader's Child grave. So, we are going to embark on a little journey to deliver one to Elderbug. I thought that could be like a fun little thing to do before the end game. Now remember, I cannot get hurt, even once. So the reason why I, you know, did some walking by myself, first of all, was to, as I did during our first iteration of the Fragile Flower quest. I keep saying fragile instead of delicate. In our first iteration of the Delicate Flower quest, that's what I did. You know, traveled the path backwards, and cleared it out of some of the worse enemies. But it was still kind of a tense experience. So, however, while we walk along this lonely road together with our friends, so it's not really that lonely, wanted to just talk about a couple things. One of the things I wanted to point out was that, as I said when we entered the room with the Hollow Knight, the last time we did that, after viewing what happened in the Abyss when these little vessels were first born, including both the Hollow Knight and our protagonist knight, it was really just whoever got to the top first could be potentially chosen by the Pale King to become the Hollow Knight. So it really could have been our little knight here chosen to do it if they had gotten to the top before the Hollow Knight. If things had been different, perhaps the positions would have been reversed. And it's interesting to think about how, in the time since the Hollow Knight was chosen and, you know, chained up in the Black Egg Temple, other vessels, like the Knight, and the couple others that we've seen, all only, you know, dead, somehow got out of the Abyss through some other, you know, entrance or exit or whatever, and traveled all throughout Hallownest and beyond. For example, I'm just letting my guys take care of some of these for me so that I'm not running into them. But for example, we had all the ones that Nosk managed to capture. And I wanted to point that out because Nosk, the way that the hunter says that Nosk operates is, it plucks memories from you of, faces you would recognize. In the Knight's case, it chose a face that looked exactly like them. And as we now know, the Hollow Knight also looks quite a bit like the Knight. So one wonders, is it that Nosk decided to look like the Knight so that the Knight would chase themselves? Or is it more like, I'm trying to time this correctly, or is it that Nosk, tried to look like what perhaps our little Knight remembered the Hollow Knight looking like when they were both trying to become the first to get to the top? Or were they even really probably they weren't realizing that they were in a competition. It was probably just a matter of, let's get out of this place, guys. Did they know that their dad was up at the top? Like, was he calling to them, like encouraging them in any way? But anyway, I wanted to point that out because I was wondering, and it's a question that the game doesn't really answer. Do the siblings, all know what they were created for? When they try to get out of the abyss, after the Hollow Knight has been chained, do they know that's what they're for? That they're supposed to be sealing up infection? Like, are our actions as the player Knight toward potentially taking the place of the Hollow Knight, is that because the Knight knows that's what they're for? Do the other vessels go chasing after one another, and get caught by Nosk, for example? They go chasing after something that looks like them because they too are trying to, meet up with their siblings and, try to help with the infection? Or are they just looking for their siblings for, comfort and companionship? I like to think that the Pale King was wrong about all these little guys, and none of them have been completely hollow. That there's more to them than just little automatons that wander around and can be potential vessels for a plague. The thing with Nosk shows that it's possible that they do remember each other from the abyss and seek each other out, or at least seek out other creatures that look like them. So they've got some kind of maybe family or kinship feeling. Interesting to think about just how wrong the Pale King was, since as we know very well, the Hollow Knight themselves, is not hollow, and that's why it failed. The plan, I mean. So, yeah. Alright, well, that very tense and rambling trip. So, you may not have my flower. He doesn't want it. If I talk to him, he's just gonna say another precept. Yeah. Yeah, he's just gonna say another precept. Zot! Goodbye forever. Hey, Elder Bug. What's that you have there? Ah, what a beautiful flower. I'd never have guessed by looking, but you have surprisingly good taste in flora. Why are you carrying around such an exquisite bloom? Wait, you didn't. Ah! This flower is it a gift? For me? Are you really giving me something so precious? Give the delicate flower? Absolutely. He wants it. Like, he really is enthusiastic about this flower. And usually Elderbug doesn't want anything to do with anything from, like, outside this one spot that he stands in. He was even scared to go into the cemetery 5 feet away from him. Yes, we will give you the delicate flower. Oh, that is like the happiest voice clip you can get for him in the game. He's just holding it carefully. Ah, I can really have it? My, I barely know what to say except thank you. I'd resigned myself to selflessly giving out advice to passers-by without receiving any gratitude in return. Little did I know, one young bug was taking my words to heart and would repay my kindness. And with such a beautiful gift! Ah, suddenly the world seems a little less faded. Thank you, my friend. I will take care of this flower while you're gone, so we can enjoy it together when you return. Isn't that just the sweetest thing? He was the first person who spoke to us when we came into this god-forsaken kingdom, literally. And I really wanted him to be the last person that the knight interacts with before heading into their final encounter. And you have the opportunity to give him this beautiful flower to... And, you know, again, it's like the knight is not hollow. The knight, I really believe, has emotions in there. The knight can do things on their own. The knight can basically do whatever they want. And a lot of the things that they choose to do are kind things. They've made all these friends just by walking around being themselves. You know, I like that idea that there's just this silent little creature walks around just kind of acting a little weird, and people feel drawn to them and want to become their friend. They have inspired several people, you know, just brought people back up to this town so that Elderbug is not alone, and just the world seems a little less faded just because the knight chose to do a tiny little kindness of bringing a flower. This flower you gave me. When dark thoughts creep into my head, I gaze at it and think of you. Why not rest at the bench here for a while? We can enjoy the flower together before you head off again. So now he'll give that dialogue instead of just, you know, his usual feeling tired, you should stay at the bench. One. So, hope you enjoyed just that, you know, little thing. I said goodbye forever, be quiet, before we go face the music, face the heart of the infection. Before that, though, we had to explode one final time, because if I didn't come to the end of this playthrough without exploding a few times, you would not believe how many times I exploded while walking through Fog Canyon and getting rid of all the Omas. But if I didn't explode one more time before finishing this game, you would be disappointed, I'm sure. We already got Hornet's dialogue, so I'm not talking to her. Like I said, well, the knight doesn't talk to anybody. We're not interacting with her. I wanted Elderbug to be the last one that we interact with. So let's head in here and traverse this place. You guys, as soon as I get to the little bench in here, you guys, where I'm going, you can't follow. I'm sorry. Thank you so much for your companionship today, and always, little weaverlings and my dear grim child. But, I gotta leave you all behind. So, okay, I definitely want my my Mark of Pride gotten from the Mantis tribe for defeating their lords. The Unbreakable Strength, bought from Leg Eater, now deceased, and, purified by, you know, Divine's digestive tract. And I'm thinking, what else do I want to wear to go in and defeat the Hollow Knight again? I think I'll go with, like, my usual suite for right now. Stalwart Shell is a definite for sure. And, looks like I can fit one more. Don't want to stink, so how about we be able to run fast? Just for right now. Okay. So, you remember the last ending we got by mistake, an on-purpose mistake, by striking the Hollow Knight when Hornet came in to hold them down for us. What we actually have to do is dream nail them. So, first of all, what we need to do is go and fight them again. And get to that point. So, let's get to it, everybody. This will be our third time heading in. Third time a charm, maybe? Hey, sibling. Trying to be careful with my fighting today. Well, I say that and then I go and I mess up immediately. Trying and succeeding are two different things. So, once more we have the real sadness of just the Hollow Knight hurting himself, possibly to help us. Here comes Hornet. So this time, get good, and we will go into this dream world. She yells is something very similar to get good. The fandom loves that. So, you recognize this place at all? Looks rather a lot like, and in fact is, the dream world where we killed all of the dreamers. And do you remember how every time we killed another dreamer, the place got a little brighter? And you know how the infection is light-based? And the seer talked about remembering light, and the whole thing was about there used to be a moth god with light, and then the Pale King came and supplanted that person with his own light? Guys, it's time for the sun to rise. We must challenge the light. Wish me luck. The Radiance. Okay, well that wasn't very good, but we're gonna just keep trying at this. The Radiance being the creature that you, I'm sure, recognize, that statue up at the top of Crystal Peak. That was a statue to the Radiance. And also, you might remember, as the seer was dissolving into sparkles, what she said was, "Radiance, I remember you." When you're playing that for the first time, you wouldn't recognize that as a name necessarily, because the Moth God was never referenced by name anywhere. And even the seer only said light right up until that moment. Notice that my shade doesn't attack me anymore. It's because we're integrated now, thanks to the Void Heart. So, turns out, Moth God is actually called Radiance. It wasn't just a synonym for light that the seer talked about. And we have got to actually, quote, face the heart of the infection and defeat the Moth God. Every time you do it, you have to first defeat the Hollow Knight. And so, it's gonna probably take me a while. I've only ever beaten her twice. Sort of similar to my attempts to beat Nightmare King Grim. So, there will be cuts. I will be, doing my very best, you guys. That was not my very best. I can definitely do better than that. So, continue to wish me luck, and I will probably be interspersing my attempts with some discussion about, various things, my headcanons and such. But, we're facing the heart of the infection. We gotta kill the Radiance. We gotta swat that moth with the flame of our fury against her and the Pale King. By the way, that's a girl. Radiance is female. In case you didn't know. Luckily, you end up with full health when you get back in. When you get back in there with her. But the thing is, there's like 0 time to heal. She does double damage. So, our, Sib here has basically just become like a gateway fight to the actual real final boss that they've been holding inside them for so long. It was actually a creature, not just the plague. Remember, White Lady said that thing inside. Kind of disrespectful to say to a fellow higher being. But, so if you were suspecting that it was going to be, an entity, especially after we learned about the Moth God, you were right. Okay, in we go again. And like I said, luckily, you do end up with full health. This time you don't have to challenge her. Just, she coming out each and every time. Oh, I jumped right into that. She's difficult too because you've got to always be hitting upward, which is unusual. And just the fact that everything does double damage is not quite very pleasant. No, come here. Shit. I walked right into that. Everything in this does double damage except her floor spikes, by the way. Always gonna try to go in with full soul. So you end up with full health when you go in with her, but not full soul. So anyway, one of the things that I wanted to talk about while doing this was a little bit of a headcanon. Remember when we were in the White Palace and we were sort of discussing, or I was talking about potentially what the Pale King would have told anybody about this little vessel child that they brought home? Personally, what I think it is that Pale King and White Lady did present the Hollow Knight as their child. Raised them up to be this big. Don't really know exactly how, but as it turns out, the reason why they had to learn to fight and be a knight was less, to fight, quote, fight the infection or to fight the Radiance themselves, since they're basically just a vessel for her, but more so that they could fight off anybody who comes in here. So anyway, raise them as their child, and probably that was part of the plan, because the Pale King knew that the infection was caused by the Radiance. And how could the Radiance possibly resist, infecting her rival's child? So it was sort of like to be bait for the Radiance. Then Hollow Knight gets put inside this temple. Radiance sees her chance and jumps in there. And then she got trapped. But how did she get trapped? Let me make my attempt here, and then maybe I will discuss of that, because I think I've got to be a little more quiet. Yeah, I'm gonna have to be a little more quiet while fighting her, I guess. But so the whole idea of the Hollow Knight was that they would be an empty vessel. No mind to think, no will to break, no voice to cry suffering. Born of God and void, you're the vessel, you are the Hollow Knight. So, how could something like that be perfect for trapping a god that exists in dreams and light. Think of it like this. A creature that has no mind can't dream. So she wouldn't be able to get at them that way. Something without a mind also would be unlikely to be swayed by promises like she possibly gave to, the Soul Master, for example, or people like Mila, who, were sort of swayed into trying to head into Crystal Peak by the singing crystals that sing with Radiance's light and promise wealth. But a creature with no mind and no will as well, what could possibly, be used to tempt them into acting according to the Radiance's, wishes? And then you also have no voice, meaning that they couldn't cry out to bring others here. They couldn't speak to anyone who came in, to them to either spread her word as a religion, like the moths might do, or, ask for help. So that's kind of perfect. Once the Radiance was trapped inside of the Hollow Knight, unable to get out and spread any further, she doesn't hold them indefinitely. They will shake her off, so I have to get in here. Okay, being quiet. So anyway, that's like my personal feelings about why, the Hollow Knight was, created and what they were supposed to accomplish. Once Radiance is in, the idea was that she couldn't get out of such a creature that can't be swayed, can't be, persuaded into doing anything. And then the additional seal was placed in the form of the Dreamers, who sealed up this Black Egg Temple with their, own very strong wills. Sort of the opposite kind of thing. And again, this is just sort of my headcanon about this. But, the Pale King certainly chose some very powerful creatures. Monoman the Teacher being, an intellectual kind of a person who had a goal in life of, amassing research or, whatever she was doing in the archives. Lurian, who had that really extreme loyalty to the Pale King. And Hera, who had her child, Hornet, and Hornet's potential future to fight for. So, those people also would be unlikely to be swayed by, the Radiance, and would be a perfect seal on the Hollow Knight. However, the whole plan fails because the Hollow Knight was not ever hollow. Now, another question we have to ask ourselves is, the Knight is the wielder anticipated by the Moth tribe, so potentially after the Pale King came and most of the Moths turned away from Radiance to follow him, perhaps some of them did really remember, the Radiance, because they as a species dealt in dreams and would have wanted her to come back. At the very least, the Seer, in repaying her old crimes, seems to have given the Knight the key to defeat the Radiance, which makes you wonder, what was the Seer actually trying to accomplish? You do too many attacks at once, Radiance. So, what was the Seer exactly trying to accomplish by giving the Knight the Dream Nail and helping them out? Was the Seer trying to thwart the Pale King and allow the Radiance to escape and be reborn into this world? Or was the Radiance sort of trying to help end this cycle of the infection continuing to come back, and actually defeat her god for one reason or another? So then you have to wonder, was Grandma really on our side? On the other hand, could Grandma really have known that the knight wouldn't just choose to go along with what the Pale King and White Lady would have wanted and simply supplant the Hollow Knight and seal up the Radiance again? So, yeah. But you notice the Hollow Knight wasn't given a dream nail. So Seer was probably trying to, do her own thing to either end all of this by ending Radiance or end it all by releasing Radiance onto the world again. And interesting. And here we go again. I feel bad continuing to just beat them up. But now we know that, for sure, and I'm sure it was pretty obvious, no voice to cry suffering, but, the Hollow Knight makes noise. But now that you've heard the Radiance, you know for sure that was never, the Hollow Knight screaming. That's the Radiance inside of them. And what they're doing here is basically stabbing themselves in an attempt to help the knight to defeat them. They're being puppeted by the Radiance largely, but the stabbing of themselves sure seems to be more their own will coming through to help the knight. Radiance, why can't you be true? Alright guys, here's the point where I've, exhausted the things that I wanted to say. So, we're basically gonna just be, doing it again and again until I can get good and do a little better at beating her. So, see you when I've done a little bit better at beating her. I've learned a new trick, you guys. Check it out. You gonna scream? I'll scream at you. She's running away from my screaming. In this segment, she just basically rains down a bunch of the swords. Void comes up to try to get a hold of her, but she escapes. See, you notice the Void has arrived in this dream world, which makes a lot of sense considering that it's the Void that should be her opposite number. If she's the light, Void is the darkness, right? But in this game, we have good darkness. But it also makes sense that it would be the Void that shows up here to help us defeat her. Because we have the Void Heart. And remember, we couldn't even get in here without the Void Heart. Because, Hornet doesn't show up until you have the Void Heart. But here we go, you guys. Speaking of Void. Oh, I got chills, you guys. All of our siblings come to help us. Here we go. So there you have it, gang. The third ending to Hollow Knight, and the last one that I'm going to be showing you in this playthrough, in which all of the Knight's Void siblings rose up to assist them to finally defeat the infection at its source with the Radiance. And now there will no longer be any gods in Hallownest fighting over this turf. It can finally be peaceful, because the king is gone, and now the Radiance is gone as well. A major theme in this game is the idea of not doing what your parents wanted, but instead transcending their expectations. You remember what the White Lady said when we first came to her, that the Knight could surely do a better job at sealing the Radiance than the Hollow Knight did. And yet, instead, with the help of our sister Hornet and our sibling the Hollow Knight, the Knight was able to go beyond that and actually defeat the god that was creating the infection to begin with, transcending what the Pale King hoped to do by simply sealing her. And also, unlike the Pale King, who sacrificed so many others and then just sort of ran off to hide and die in a dream, the Knight and the Hollow Knight knowingly sacrificed themselves to fix those deeds and radiances and truly bring peace. Even Hornet was about to potentially sacrifice her life, because remember what she said, she wasn't going to come in to the Black Egg with us, but she would give us help when, if possible, because the bindings inside the egg could potentially kill her. So all three of us, plus all of the Void children from the Abyss, were able to get in there and do what their parents could not. To unite the Void under one will and retake this kingdom for whoever might come along to recreate it, if ever. Well done in achieving this great feat. finally, I feel like we've achieved a great feat together, guys, by facing the heart of the infection and really cleaning it out. Giving Hallownest a new beginning. And giving all of our little siblings the ending they deserve. See, at the end, a black egg is just completely gone. The knight threw off the one last thing that connected them with the Pale King, their, pale and shining mask, to fully become void. And unfortunately, they don't live through it. At least, not in the form that they've been in through the entire game, so we have to say goodbye to the knight. But the fact that the siblings, sort of curl up and descend back into, the abyss and the void from whence they came, tells you that there's no longer any regrets there. There's no longer any anger. They can rest in peace. All those millions of children can rest in peace. And so can the kingdom. Of course, we have to ruin the drama by having Mr. Mushroom show up, because since we got that ending once, now this file is sort of like infected with the Mr. Mushroom ending. That's a mood, Mr. Mushroom. And it says to be continued, but we don't know what that is, except possibly Silksong. Altogether, we got 108%. Thanks to defeating the Trial of the Fool. 47.5 hours together, you guys. I have enjoyed every moment of it, and I hope you guys have too. It's been really wonderful sharing this game with all of you, because it has really meant a lot to me to, share it with others. And go through the whole experience again, but talking about it, talking through my thoughts about it on my first playthrough, sharing little secrets that I've found. It's been really fun. When I first started out, I wasn't really sure if I was going to be able to continue with this, little project I've been working on. My microphone sucked. By the way, if you made it this far, that means you made it through the few videos that had the shitty microphone. So thank you so much for giving me a chance, after having to deal with that. But actually going through a Let's Play. Who knew that, Kid K. Mariah could do that? So I want to thank you guys again for playing this game with me, because it has really meant a lot to me as a game, and I hope that you've enjoyed it as well. So that's probably it for this, considering that I had enough trouble, doing Trial of the Fool. I don't know if I'll be doing the God Home Pantheons, but if I do, trust me, I will record it and I will show you all. But other than that, as I said, there's always potentially Silksong in the future. But, at any rate, I guess I've got to say one last time, for the time being, stay safe, you guys, and have a great day. Thank you for watching.